Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at AmericanExpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey guys, Akil here. Welcome back to the Trading Coach Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about something that every technical trader needs to do, and that is sharpen your trading eye and develop a new trader brain. Now, before we hop in at the very end of today's episode, because I don't want to take too much time up front, I have an announcement about the Trading Coach Podcast. Make sure you hang on to the end to listen about some changes that are going to happen. All right, let's go. All right, back to the question. I'd like to tell you that I've continued back testing. I am on the 7th pair, but I have some doubts. I went a second time on the first pair, and you were right, as I often am. I spotted a lot more trades. And to give you some background, so our trader was going through the back testing process. They didn't find a lot of frequency in what they were spotting. And as I always say is like, hey, remember when you're, it takes time for you to develop your RAS. It takes time for you to develop your eye. The first time you go through something, you're probably not going to see everything that's there because you're just not trained to do it, right? I'll go back to the very old but best example that I can give you, right? If I tell you to look around your room and I give you 30 seconds and I say, give me everything that is blue, you will probably, let's say you give me 10 things, right? Because in 30 seconds, you're able to find the 10 things that stand out to you the most. If I told you to do it for a second time, do you think you would find more or less things, right? So first time I said, look around your room, you have 30 seconds, give me everything that's blue, and you find 10 things that are blue. If I then told you to do it again for the second time, do you think you would find more blue things or less blue things, or the same? Or she says more, Ann says more. Why? Why would you discover more? Same amount of time, but why would we see more this time than the first time, right? Shouldn't we see the same? Aren't there the same amount of blue things in the room? Why do you guys think we would see more? Any ideas? Ann says attention, looking harder, focused. Yeah, so a few reasons. One, we've already mentally stored the things that we already know are blue, right? If I know I have a blue marker and a blue candle, if I know that from the first time, right, I already know it's there. So therefore, I don't have to waste energy looking at that blue thing. I can now find other blue things that may have slipped before, right? So we can pay attention to different things because our brain is already trained to see the first things. Also, we're not caught off guard, right? Because we already know that I'm looking for blue things, I've also mentally prepared before the task. The first task is kind of by surprise, where it's like, George, red, now, 30 seconds. You're like, it takes a while to kind of get going. Everything's a little bit funky to lock in. The second time, you're already prepared. Like, okay, I know I'm looking for red. I know I'm looking for red. I have more practice, right? So it's very similar with looking at strategies in the market, right? One, you kind of know what you're looking for already. And because you have an idea of what you're looking for, you can kind of see other things, right? Two, you just simply have more practice, right? The more you practice doing something, or the more you do something, the better you get at it, whether it's looking around the room for things that are blue, whether it's dribbling a basketball, whether it's juggling a soccer ball, right? My kids juggle soccer balls a lot, and I've always heard this from many people. It's like, once you get to 50, juggles is like kicking it on your feet. If you guys are not familiar, like you keep it up in the air, keep you up. I've always heard, like, once you get to 50, you can get to any number after that. where it's like once you pass that threshold, I can get 50 juggles, you can go to 100. It just depends on like how long you want to sit there and kick a ball. But it's just that the I guess the point of practice of getting to 50, that's kind of like the threshold point for you, right? So patterns are the same way. Strategies are the same way. Candlesticks are the same way. Whatever you're looking for in the market, divergences are the same way. It's all about developing your RAS. It's all about training your reticular activating system to see it. And the better you get at that, the more you will see. You may also change your opinion on some things that you saw before, where you'll start to develop your eye and you'll start to become, I only like these types, or this one doesn't stand out to me, or this one does. Maybe you'll see more, maybe you'll see less. It's the same thing with reading a trend. How we talk about when newer traders first read a trend, you see every single ebb and flow. And then you start to kind of ignore the junk and see the forest for the trees. Is that it? You see the bigger picture and not the smaller picture? Stuff like that. So it's practice, 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 practice. And our eyes are always changing. Our eyes are always adjusting. So what I say is like, the first time and this is the whole point of the pre-back testing phase. The pre-back testing phase, before you're ever tracking data and doing all that fun stuff, is to train your eyes. If you do a pre-back testing phase where you're still just like training your eyes and you're experimenting with different ideas, you're getting those reps. That way, when it's time to do your full back testing phase, you can see stuff really, really, really good. The biggest blessing, gift, and curse in my trading was that when I first started testing, right, when I first did my back testing on patterns specifically, I was trading it exactly how my mentors told me, right? There wasn't a lot of flexibility back then, but it was like, only look at it this way, only look for this thing. So I was looking for a very, 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 very specific thing in the market. And I would test it and I would do like 10 pairs over like 10 years. And then I would have like an idea and be like, what if I looked for this? And then I rip everything apart and I go back and I test it and I test 10 pairs over 10 years, right? Another whatever 1,000 trades I'm tracking. And I'd be like, but what if my stop loss was here instead of here, right? And I'd go back and test it and I test 10 trades over 10 years. And right, because I didn't do my back testing phase properly and I just wanted to get to the answer, because that's what I was doing. I just wanted to get to the answer. I wanted to like, my whole mindset was like, I just need to test this many things and it needs to tell me that it's profitable and then I can throw money at the market and be a millionaire, right? That was my whole goal. It wasn't the right way of thinking about trading, but that's how it was back then. But as I developed over testing and got curious and creative, I ended up looking for other things, which is kind of how we preach to back test now. Long story short, I tested, probably like 10,000 trades, guys. 10,000 trades. And you know what I noticed? By the end of that, by my final test, my eyes were so much sharper than they were the first test. I saw the markets completely differently, and it was just because of the amount of reps that I put in. So again, it was a dumb idea, but it ended up working. I forced myself by accident, I guess, to get those reps in the market, and I developed my eyes to be really, 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 really sharp, and that's why I see things very specifically now, and I'm very it's 20 years, almost 20 years of trading as well, but I'm very black or white with this is something or this isn't something for me. So the more you test it, the more your eyes will change. So it's no surprise that this trader saw more pattern opportunities, right? They're testing advanced pattern formations, more pattern opportunities the second time through. And then just to go on to follow up the question, I see Orsi said, did you have to redo them after that? My back testing, like after the final test, or like each time I restart it? After the final test? No. Final test, it was good to go. Like I discovered a way that I wanted to trade. It was they were profitable the other times. I just was like, I never tested the 50% as a target. What if I tried that? And then like, because I never tracked the data, I had to go all the way back, right? Or like, what if I used like a half ATR stop instead of a 1 ATR stop? Well, I never tested it, so I got to go back. So it was just like common stuff that you would think is common now. I did like when I tested the first time and the second time and the third time, I literally only tested one thing. Like it was like whatever the exact rules were, I only tested those exact rules. I didn't think about changing anything, right? We'll get to a question later here about different target. I didn't think about different target opportunities. I didn't think about different stops. It was literally just one way of testing. Because again, I just wasn't taught to be creative in my testing necessarily. But even if I were, I probably, again, my whole goal was just like testing wasn't an enjoyable part of the process for me. I didn't look at it as like developing psychology and developing my RAS and understanding the patterns and learning the market, right? It was literally like the starting point was me not trading. On the right was me trading live money and becoming a millionaire. In the middle was all the dumb stuff that I had to do to get there, right? So this was just like doing I didn't value any of what I called the dumb stuff, right? I had new trader brain, right? I just wanted to make money, and this is the stuff I had to do to make money. It was like going to school, where it's like my parents told me I had to graduate high school, right? I don't want to go to these classes. I don't like these classes, but I got to do these classes to graduate, or my parents will whoop my behind. So I'm just going to go to them and do them, and I'm going to do just enough work to pass, but not enough work to get like straight A's, right? If that makes sense. So it was, again, not the right way to think about it, but that wasn't. No one told me, right? No one really explained the creativity process, or, no one really explained kind of the, what do we call it now? The pre-back testing phase. And that's why we explained it to you, right? I explained it to you because I don't want you guys doing the same thing I did, right? I don't want you guys wasting years back testing stuff to be like, what if we did this, right? Get it out the way first. You can kill two birds with one stone. You can train your RAS, and at the same time, you can think about all the different things you want to test. And that way, when you do your testing, you can kind of do everything at once. I'll give you one more analogy. It's like going to the grocery store, and like, you have you put all the food in your trunk, and you're taking your food from the trunk to your house. Like, it's the difference between me like going there and like taking the time to like fit every bag on my arms. You guys know what I'm talking about? You ever do that? You put all the bags on your arms, you're carrying like a tower of stuff, but like you're determined to make it in one trip because you don't want to go outside because it's cold, right? Anyone? Just me? No one? You guys have your stuff delivered to you? Fancy lads, right? It's like that, right? Instead of like going back and forth like 20 times to get every single bag, right? And wasting all that time, I sit there and I look at it and I'm like, okay, how can I fit all of this? I'm like sliding them on, balancing like eggs on my head. And I'm like, one trip. And then like, the bag rips and you're like, shoot. But it's one of those things, like take a little bit more time in the beginning, figure everything out, plan for it, right? You don't want to drop the eggs. Maybe you leave the eggs for a second trip, and then just do it all at once instead of making 20 different trips. I hate that when one rips. Oh, I hate that. So yeah. So Akil, you were right. Thank you. Second time through, I spotted a lot more trades, but should I force to see them, right? And that's a question for you guys. I think we know the answer, but should this trader force themselves to see trades? Yeah, no. I think we know. I think you know that answer too, unnamed trader, right? No, never force yourself to do anything, right? That's the bad thing. I've realized that in all pairs, I spot in the beginning 40 trades in 12 years on the 4-hour time frame. I know that they are not a lot, but my eyes see 40 trades in every pair in average the first time. Do you think I should test them a second time to find even more? And I think you guys kind of already answered this question, but no, you shouldn't force yourself to, there are what there are, right? If you're going fishing and there's no fish today, then there's no fish today, right? It is what it is, right? You don't need to give yourself a quota, right? You should have an idea of like, hey, I would like to get this big of a sample size, but like, if you go through 12 years and you found 40 trades, you shouldn't look again and force yourself to see 60 trades, because what are you going to start doing? You're going to start finding patterns that aren't really patterns. But because you want to fit a certain quota, you're going to be like, it's not really a Gartley, but you know what? If I do that, that'll get me 51. So yeah, we're going to count it, right? No. And then you're trading bogus stuff. Because again, would you force yourself to trade a pattern that isn't a pattern in real life? The answer is no. So no, you don't want to force yourself to get a certain amount, right? Take you get what you get. You get what you get. You don't get upset, right? If there are 40 valid opportunities that meet your rules, then your number is 40. That's it, right? And again, there's a difference between just missing stuff because you're not trained and seeing what there is, right? You don't want to force anything. Yes, George says, as long as you're comfortable with your identification. Yeah, as long as you're comfortable with your identification. So for the answer to the first question, do you think that I should test them for a second time to find even more? I think you should test them for a second time if you feel like you need to test them for a second time, meaning like you feel like maybe you missed stuff. But I don't think you need to force yourself to find even more, right? If you are comfortable with your ability to recognize patterns, then no, don't test again, right? If you don't feel comfortable, if you're like, man, like I kind of see them, but like sometimes I still don't see them, then yeah, you can test again. So it all depends on how comfortable you feel with your identification. And that's a question that only you can answer. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Quick update on the Trading Coach podcast. Nothing is changing with the core of the show. I'm still here giving you episodes, 5 days a week. However, the audio only versions will no longer be posted on YouTube. I know many of you guys enjoy listening to them on that platform, but I want to clean up the YouTube channel a little bit and leave that strictly for video. But don't worry, the Trading Coach podcast is still available on your favorite podcasting app, Apple, Spotify, wherever else you go, so you can enjoy it there. Just not YouTube. All right, take care.